Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Damn. Some nice digs here. Real nice. Hey, my dude.
How are you settling in?
Damn, they really hooked you up.
Oh my goodness, that room is fantastic.
Yeah. I think I'm really going to like this place. It's got a real Ving Schwa going on. What? No. A Von Schwo about it, wouldn't you say?
Try again.
Ven Wang around, if you will. It's feng shui, dude. Feng shui. Exactly. A real
Von Sway kind of feeling. Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And you're all moved in too, I see. That's great.
Are you serious? He got a room too?
You got a ship, and he got a room.
Oh my god, I am so done with all of this. What the fuck? Yeah. Don't mind him.
He's dealing with some things at the moment.
He doesn't have a room?
No. What little he did have was taken between Destiny 1 and 2. Not just him either. Millions of Guardians.
Everything they worked for years to acquire.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
They tried to reskin a bunch of them, but it just wasn't the same.
Anyway, how are you? I just wanted to welcome you and see if you needed anything.
No, I'm good so far.
Interesting you're able to speak with me like this, given the lack of anything remotely close to electricity around here.
Let's just say the technology where I come from is a bit more advanced than
flinging poo from a slingshot. We've learned of better methods, amazingly enough. Sarcasm aside, I figured I'd reach out and say hi.
Like I said, don't worry about the other guy. He'll get over it. He's used to broken promises and being let down, so he'll bounce back.
Wow. You know, it's sad. In the beginning, I wasn't so sure about all this, but I gotta say, I'm really enjoying myself now.
However, there is one thing. Well, if you include the Nergigante fight, two things, but one really glaring issue.
What's that? They didn't allow me to speak during the cutscenes. Really? Yeah.
Oh man, here we go. I'm sorry, what did you say?
What? The cutscenes appear to need me to say something, and yet
they won't let me speak. It's really awkward. I can't believe I have to deal with this. Well, get over it, bro.
Oh, some of your cutscenes aren't graced with your angelic voice? Why don't you try going a half year without a meaningful thing to do and then get told
that in another half year the game will finally be back to the way the one they desperately tried to run from was and have some real problems.
Jackass. What are the weapons like in your world? They look so fun.
So much individual weapon progression. Armor too.
Which are you using? Have you tried them all? What about that insect glaive?
Bet you've had that up a monster's ass once or twice, huh?
What's wrong with you?
What do you mean what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you?
I'm trying to extend an olive branch between two characters without voices and...
You know what? I'm sorry. Just drop it.
You drop it. I'm sorry. Is this a bad time for you? Oh, well, let me just leave you to your gorgeous room and...
fancy weapons and armor. While I run around the tower thinking of all the things I used to be able to maybe do one day and perhaps jump off the ledge 30 or 40 times.
Sorry to bother.
Bye.
Jeez. Like I said,
it's been a rough time.
Hey, all. Siege here, and for as much as I'm having fun in Monster Hunter World, I have to ask, why did they choose to go with the silent protagonist, and then also choose to include said character in cutscenes where it's fairly obvious this person should say something?
So, tell me, what's your theory? The Elder Dragons must migrate to the New World for some reason. After running the research commission for 40-odd years, the guild's itching for an answer.
You know, I haven't seen a character look this awkward in cutscenes since...
Remember when I told you that you fly too fast? Forget I said that. Fly fast.
Well, you know where. I just don't get it either. Like, it's not impossible to have a silent protagonist, but I feel like the one thing you should have to make sure you never do is put them in a cinematic cutscene where the scene itself implies the character should say a thing.
You're on the A-list, right? Huh. Meowdy-doo. I'm not psychic, but I do have pretty good ears. Put her there.
Why take all the time to craft these gorgeous scenes and then decide against just adding the vocal track that the person who originally designed the scene obviously was hoping someone would spend the money to fill out? I mean, if the character isn't going to or is not supposed to speak, then why not just make him or her stand there during the scene, to imply that they are stoic and are a warrior of few to no words, defined solely by their actions and the steel of their blade or whatever. But this...
I've gotta stop it! Alright, you got this?
This just looks so weird. For those that didn't know or can't remember, in the case of Destiny, the character actually did own a voice.
So, how do we find the Awoken?
Originally, but then it mysteriously went away without any explanation.
Who else has been inside my head? Accessing memory core. Huh. You've been busy. Correction. You've been busy without me. I don't know how I feel about that.
And by the way, seriously, Bungie, do you not think people actually care about the lore enough of the game that they could use a bit of an explanation on this? Please, this isn't just Destiny 2 either. Can someone just tell me what happened to it? Can't someone take the 15 or 20 minutes to come up with a reason that doesn't shit all over the already established lore to just explain to me why he had a voice and now he doesn't have a voice? It can't be that hard, can it? This is one area I feel the developers of Warframe made a much smarter choice in deciding against continuing their story in a similar fashion, as the player begins the game without a voice as well, and it stays that way for quite a long time, at least in game hours, that is. Now, for those of you who haven't finished the second Dream, or preferably the War Within quest, I'm going to be delving into some pretty significant story spoilers, so be warned. But for those of you that have, the player character actually has a voice now, and frequently talks during missions and engages in open discussions with other NPCs during quests.
Tell me what...
I am warning you. You think you're safe behind this metal, but you're not. Not in the ways that matter here. Behind this, you're still just a child.
Stop saying that.
That when watching them interact, rarely if ever feel awkward, out of place, or dare I say cringeworthy. Actually, two of my favorite gaming moments come from Warframe, specifically the reveal of the Tenno and the dialogue shared between them and the Lotus, and the Tenno's final confrontation with the Twin Queens, where we get to experience the true culmination of the hero's journey within the game itself. I just don't know if the emotional response those moments provided me could be presented as Monster Hunter or Destiny do and garner the same strong feelings. When I see games engage in that form of silent protagonist, I almost immediately pigeonhole it as a game with a bland or non-existent story, which, even if it turns out to be a fun game to play, those that know me know I feel is a terrible waste of a gorgeous opportunity. Honestly, if you're going to take the time to tell a story, make sure it's a story worth telling. Otherwise, why waste any resources, time, or money on it at all? I mean, other than to deceive people into believing a game might have a rich cinematic campaign, that is. I have heard the argument that not giving the character a voice allows you to put your voice or whatever in there for immersion's sake, but I feel like this would do more to break said immersion than anything else for most people. Who can even identify with a character like this? I just don't understand who exactly this is supposed to appeal to, other than, those who don't give a shit about story or narrative, but nonetheless are fascinated by the flickering images and bright, pretty colors. That is one, I guess. These aren't the only two games I've experienced this form of quote-unquote immersion in, and when it's presented in this manner, I find it really difficult to take seriously. For a game like Monster Hunter World, where admittedly the game doesn't take itself too seriously, it's definitely less of a blow, but even then, it's a pretty fine line to walk. All that being said, I feel like I've watched silent or near silent protagonists in other video games, Doom, Dark Souls, or Bloodborne series, and others, and it wasn't awkward at all. Truth be told, the lack of dialogue from all of them, in my opinion, actually accentuates the loneliness each of those respective characters deal with and how they deal with it as well. In the case of Doom Guy, pure unadulterated violence at every turn, but it's just a really jarring experience to be watching an interesting scene and start getting immersed in the story, only to have one of these situations totally break any connection I had to what's going on. Furthermore, why is it our character is the only one that can't speak? How come the actors for everyone else were worth casting and paying, and yet the main character goes without?
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Do we really need the cutscenes then? Personally, I feel like having the main character interact in discussions during the game makes it feel more like a movie anyhow, and that's why the cinematics are being added into the game, right? To look more like a movie and thereby give at least the impression that the story is better. Isn't that the intent? Well, how many movies exist where the main character is a mute who engages in one-sided conversation with every other person in the world in order to further the plot? The next question you have to ask yourself is, are any of those movies any good? I'm guessing if they weren't specifically about the character overcoming the challenge of being mute, they were borderline unwatchable, if they even exist, and I feel like we're not far from that here either. Maybe that's what I really want. Either the character to have a voice and be in a rich cinematic dialogue-laden cutscene, or remove the voice but don't actively put them in a rich cinematic dialogue-laden cutscene. Either way, it's going to be an improvement, I promise you. But these are my thoughts. What are yours? Is this as uncomfortable a thing to watch for you as it is for me? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'm the weird one. I don't know. But I feel like it's one of the few flaws in Monster Hunter World up to this point, and I just don't understand the decision behind it. So maybe some of the comments that I get in the video can explain it to me a little bit better. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. At any rate, hope you all have a wonderful day. Take extra special care of yourself, and I'll talk at you in the next one. Bye.